Hello, is the sound on?
I can hear.
I'm not hearing anything from the room.
I don't hear anything from the room, but I'm here. Buell, I see your face.
Unmute.
Hi, Charles. I see you too, but I can't hear anybody from the room.
Buell, you've got your echo thing going again. You must have two audio sources on.
They were all muted. It looks like Jennifer and John can't hear anything either.
That's really, really bad feedback, Buell.
I'm attending and I can't hear anything either.
Hi, Alec.
Hey, Charles. Hey, Buell.
Yeah, it could be miscellaneous people in
Conference
the
ID
room
number.
with the feedback problem.
All right.
I'm very well. I'm standing by.
Buell, can you hear us? You got to turn your sound on.
I just heard you now, but I just heard a speaker. I haven't hearing it. If there's any sound coming out of the room, I haven't heard it.
Can you sound check? Can anybody online hear us? Yes, I can hear you on Kirsty Light's Teams.
Okay, so we're using a laptop, so the sound will definitely not be as good as normal, whatever normal is. So let's do the roll call over from the beginning, please.
Okay, Amy Oliver, Dennis Kuhn,
Here.
Craig Barron,
Here.
Robert East,
Here.
Jill Januzzi,
Here.
Alex Zimmerman,
Here, online.
oh, Daniel Slater, sorry. We have a quorum.
So, keep trying to truck along. Sorry to everybody if you can't see in the room or everybody in the room can't see up there. A lot of time today, that's how we end the year, the written is checked out for 2025. So the next item on our agenda is about the approval of the minutes and the legal action report from November 5th. And so we are voting to accept the legal action report for Wednesday, November 5th, 2025.
This Dennis Kuhn, I move to accept the legal action report meeting minutes from Wednesday, November 5th, 2025.
Craig Graham, 15. I said.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes unanimously. I don't know, our instructions are. Okay. It's fine. All right, so we're gonna go on to item number 3, our subcommittee report and organization. And so right now, what subcommittee has been doing, I'll go ahead and take this time, Dennis, since we usually toss it to you, what subcommittee has been doing is of course going through the comments after the last meeting, everything that we were able to get through at the last meeting, and then also meeting again with our contractor, Fisher Moran's and Stone, and going through some of their initial recommendations and some of the information they found in research. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Probably not, but we did have additional questions that we put back to the small. Get back to that, so.
Good point. So I don't know if everybody online can hear you say that, Robert.
I just said that we've also asked the consultants some questions in subcommittee and they're and we expect to meet with them again before we make their findings. So then we'll do.
All right, so we're gonna move straight into the next item on our agenda to try to make up for a little bit of time. So we're gonna do committee discussion of public comments. We left off at our last meeting, having just ended with Emilio Falco's comment at number 98. So we're gonna launch right in to number 99 in the initial documents. This is not in section order, it's by the way that these comments came in, just for anybody who's looking at the documents. It's the version where they came in, and so 99 is Beth Showalter. Today, we are going to summarize comments. We're not going to read them off, just in the interest of time, because there are so many comments that we want to get to. And so Bev has mentioned that she's not quite sure how section 401 is going to be enforced. And so that is a question for later after we get the entire code done. We figure out how we're going to enforce what the new code is going to look like. So thank you so much, Bev, for that comment. That she wants to expand.
Yeah, I think Amy and I will alternate on these. So comment 100, Sandy Mankle, essentially asking for more protection from light pollution and better. It's just a general comment. Acknowledge that. On 101, maybe we can skip, since that's like the letter that's in the appendix, instead of going through the entire letter at this point.
We can do that. I think it was, you know, Priscilla, was Tim gonna come to a future meeting? I don't know.
We can see if Tim's on there somewhere. I don't see him.
Okay, he's not online yet, so we're gonna go, we'll skip that one just for now. Thank you, and then we'll come back to that when we see Tim, so we have the opportunity to ask him questions. So the next several comments are from Dr. Denise Bolts. from the Greater Vale Area Chamber of Commerce. There is additionally a letter in the appendix, but there are a number of comments as well. So I'm going to just go through those really quickly and summarize those for everyone. So a lot of these comments in the first page of the comments are about, so these are comments 102, 103, 104, and 105 are about chapter 1, section 101, and 102. And so she's made some really good recommendations. It's just about where we have some repetition from chapter 1, section 101.3. And the committee is aware of this repetition that got added. And so we are working on revising that to make it more clear and get repetition out of the document. And then also line 104, which is chapter 1, 101.4. She has recommended an addition about all outdoor illuminating devices shall be installed in concurrence with the intent expressed in the plans and policies, which I think is something we need the subcommittee to look at with the city and the county to make sure that we're in line.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that for a long time.
Amy, I'm thinking that with these particular comments, since there's a lot of exact strikeout of existing text, add new text, that, comments really from 103, perhaps all the way,
to
yeah, it's quite a number.
excuse me, sorry, everyone, sorry, Denise, if you are out there, we're just looking, it's through 188, through 188.
I think we need to do that in subcommittee because it involves specific text revisions, and I think we should commit that subcommittee would go through every single one and be able to report back on those that we think are appropriate, and if not, why we should.
That's fair enough, because it is a lot of comments as well. So if there's anybody online who can't hear that, what Dennis has suggested is that we're going to kick all of Denise Nichols' comments back to subcommittee to go through and address all of the strikeouts and suggested additions of text directly because they need a little bit more time and attention. So I just want to take this moment just to recognize that and acknowledge Denise, we have all of your comments and thank you very much for sending those in, and we will send them back to subcommittee. All right, your turn.
Let me get my notes. Okay.
So can I actually, before you do that, can I ask a question of Dan and Grace? If there is a blank where there is supposed to be a name, does that mean that the comment was anonymous or that it also came from the person prior?
The blank would be it came in the news.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, comment 189 from Teresa Vasquez of HSL Properties, commenting about chapter 4, section 401.1. She's asking for the rationale to support reductions in lumen caps and demonstrations of sites, how they can be properly led. So essentially looking for some technical backup to any proposed changes in the lumen caps. And I can comment that that's precisely what our consultant is doing right now. And so once we evaluate the consultant's work, then I think it will address what these concerns are and answers to these questions.
I agree with you. Completely, I'm gonna actually take the next 3. Okay, so our next comment came in anonymously, that's line 190. And the comment is about the increase in lights, right, around Push Peak and all of that growing. And of course, that's a huge priority for this committee, for the Outdoor Lighting Committee. And I don't know if this comment is here today or online. But we have a curfew, so there is already a standing curfew. We're looking at updates to the curfews and requirements. But they turn them off as soon as it is safe to do so. And the curfew is there so that when someone, lights are on at 11 p.m. typically in these situations, because there are still people there cleaning up, or vacating, taking down equipment, putting things away, getting them locked up. And so it's a safety thing. We want to make sure that people are safe. So the curfew does exist to keep humans safe and then get the lights shut off at a reasonable time as soon as everyone vacates. And then the next comment 191 came from May Hendricks. And it just says, I'm just reading, it's only one line. Please help keep our skies dark and make them even darker. And thank you, May. That is the goal of our outdoor lighting committee. And so we want to make sure that we keep our skies as dark as possible and keep a nice even balance for people and business and safety and for the environment as well. All right, 192 also came in as anonymous. And it is about section 101 again. And it's about clarity. It's about the 5 principles for responsible lighting again. And so we've mentioned before just today in the last meeting, we do recognize as a subcommittee that there are some issues with the clarity in that section of the code in 101. And so we're working on clarifying that. Um,
193, another anonymous comment supporting us having the definition of shielded, and they want as much enforcement as practicable, and so it's a pro keep guard type comment. So we acknowledge the comment.
194 is pretty similar in nature. It's from Deborah McDonald, referencing chapter 4, section 401. Please limit commercial lighting repairs on highways and rural roads. And so anything that is state-based, so everyone in here understands this code is only for unincorporated Beaver County and to the city of Tucson. So anything that is outside of those jurisdictions is outside of our jurisdiction, which means we cannot manage that. So if it's an Arizona highway or freeway, although I have thoughts about all the freeway lights being on at noon today as I was driving down the freeway, but this out of our jurisdiction. But on rural roads within the county, of course, the code applies as long as it meets safety requirements. So we acknowledge the comment and want to provide that clarification where our jurisdiction is.
195 from Sarah Moore about chapter 4, telling us that they think we did a good update and that they think revisions we made so far have made it clearer, and they hope other jurisdictions will follow as well. And also stating that she believes most single-family home owners are unaware of the code, and so that makes it difficult. We acknowledge the comment.
196 is an anonymous comment that came in. There are a number of things going on in this, so I want to first just overall acknowledge the comment. One of the issues is about string lights, which I want to call festoon lighting. And we are addressing festoon lighting in the new version of the code, so in the new update. And then also there's some concern because of that festoon lighting about lane trespass, which we are also addressing more readily in the code. And then some other comments for the observatory as well, and for follow-up and enforcement. So I want to acknowledge that.
197 from
Adding another piece of that.
That's right.
I think another piece of that, they're saying, hey, it's really difficult for some people to understand the code. I think we made some parts of the code more difficult to understand. I think that's what I'm reading.
Could everybody online hear Rob? Anybody online could hear Rob?
I can hear. Charles here.
Okay, great. Thank you, Charles, for letting me know. I just want to make sure you can hear people all the way down to the end of the tape. Thanks. Thanks, Rob. Do you want to do all there's two?
Sure, we've got three comments, 197, 198, 199 from Charlie Bard, representing Pima County Development Services. The first is chapter 2, saying there should be a definition of amber placed in the definition. Understood, we'll review that again. The next is chapter 4, saying confusing, table 1 doesn't define amber. Table defines amber as 2200K and residential doesn't define color temp of amber. Again, that part of the code is a work in progress, and we acknowledge the comments, and we will something is clear. The third is chapter 4, section 404, saying as long as all lighting is below 12 feet, it's okay. You know that tribal and TDT lighting offered on residential properties on a pole and maybe over 12 feet. They have someone at meetings who may comment on requiring a time. So I'm not aware of any representatives of utility companies that are coming to the meetings. As far as I know, the utilities lights are controlled by Village Flex.
We did have someone from TV who was coming for a little while.
Yes,
Yeah.
Miranda was, but then we found out based on,
She was actually appointed as a member.
As a member.
But not.
could not attend because we were over 7.
Could we invite her to still just attend to provide expertise?
She has been invited, was encouraged to continue to. I don't understand.
All right, no worries, I just, I remember we should see.
As a Arizona Corporation Commission hearing, so probably would make it. Project.
Thank you. Yeah, that would make a problem, yes. Okay, all right, so we're now on to 200, which is from Rose Fink. And I just want to acknowledge, thank you so much, Rose, for saying you liked a lot of the changes that are being made to the code. And thank you, for mentioning, your support of the observatories. And then there's a question here as well, because we have an incident where we did not change full cutoff to fully shielded. Thank you for that. There's a lot of those in the code, so we find the Easter egg every once in a while. And so I want to acknowledge that. We'll get that changed.
Next comment, 201, is from Linda Marzano, and essentially making the point that the sky is getting brighter every year, and that she thinks it's very sad. And she thinks that a lot of this neighbors don't care, and the new light bulbs are very blinding. And essentially, it's a comment to do what we can to protect that. And we acknowledge the comment.
Oh, I would describe that. I would think that, we need to get more information out to the public in regards to our forum on illegal lighting. And people can turn that in for city and county to have them call. Talk to people, find them, whatever they need to do because of the light trespass. This is a huge thing.
I think we do. We have those forms that looks like this person did make a report, and probably someone did go out and look at it.
I don't know what we're saying.
Yeah, she said she
Midway
made a-
through it, she,
Made a report.
they said aim it down, but no success.
Is that one's a fine start, Nance?
It's fine. No, the fines would only be levied if they didn't.
Gotcha. No, that's a good explanation. What the? I was
I thought you wanted to just start finding the right way.
Oh, yeah, go for it, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. Okay, fair enough. So our next comment 202 is from Diane. And this is a very similar comment to what Rob noticed before. There's too much text specifications. It's hard to understand for a member of the public. So I know subcommittee, we've been talking about this a lot, but it's difficult to read, and we've been talking to Mr. Morantz and Stone about this as well, is trying to make it easier to use, finding ways to do that. So I want to acknowledge that we know that that is a problem. I also see in there that Diane lives on Dodge, and she thinks there does need to be more lighting there and come and find some balance. And there is room in the code to create that type of balance. And so I don't know a lot about that area on Dodge, so I don't know if there's like an HOA there and they have their own rules and regulations about how they like things. But I want to acknowledge that we do understand that, and there are provisions in the code that help allow for lights to be able to see, but also provide for responsible lighting.
We've got 3 comments from Rick Wilbur of Pima County Development Services with some suggestions to modify text. One in chapter 1, section 101.3, one in chapter 1, section 104.2.1, and one in chapter 102.4.2. So we'll go over these suggestions in subcommittee and do what we think is addresses these in the next draft.
Okay. So our next one is it's 206. That's you, Priscilla. It's from Priscilla Storm, and I think we actually talked about this last meeting. So I'm going to just say it again out loud for everyone, but I want to acknowledge and tell you we are looking at that document. So Priscilla has sent us a document from the Prosperity Initiative. She has mentioned mentions lighting and safety 62 times in that document, and so she's provided that document to the subcommittee, and I believe we have provided that as well to the to Fisher Morantz and Stone. If we have not, I think we meant to. And so we are working on it. I'm going to topic 207, since it was right there and I saw already. So I just wanted to acknowledge Anna, I'm going to butcher your last name, I'm so sorry. Belkumer. For just thanking the subcommittee or the committee, the full committee, for providing support for continued protection of night skies. And recognizing what we are attempting to do with the lighting code, which is striking a balance between lighting issues that cause problems and then trying to ensure that we have responsible lighting. And so I want to just acknowledge that and say thank you very much for your work.
Comment 208 was an anonymous comment about chapter 4, section 41.4, but it's saying that many average homeowners do not understand or know about dark sky compliant outdoor fixtures, and they feel they see it all the time for homes with bright LED motion lights, etc. So it would be great if we could have more education, more outreach, oversight, inclusion, and initiatives. They've gone on to tie it into an example of the proposed new data centers that are going to counteract any ability to or noise pollution. So we acknowledge the comment.
209 is also an anonymous comment, and I don't know if everyone can see this. Is it okay if I read a little bit more of this one? Because I think that it's important that we do address and are very open about heavily negative comments, so that we can properly address concerns that come up here. And this comment says, in general, the lighting code is ridiculous. The lack of lighting provides criminals with excellent cover to burglarize and steal. The lack of lighting makes it dangerous for nighttime activities, going for an evening walk or even driving to the store are incredibly unsafe due to the lack of visibility. They are not adequate street lights. Most vehicles drive with high beams at night due to the lack of visibility. We would all like to feel safe in our neighborhoods. This county does everything to make it the most unsafe place. From allowing public drug use downtown to being soft-handed with free meat criminals, way to help the bad guys out with total darkness. You should be ashamed of yourselves. We would be so much better off with adequate lighting. And so first I want to acknowledge that this comment came in. I think it's really important that we hear when a comment like this comes in. And then also address it by saying the outdoor lighting code is here to promote responsible use of lighting, not to prevent it at all. That is not the goal. Even the observatories and biological research firms know that there is a certain amount of lighting for safety purposes. And so this code is not meant to prevent lighting. And so this is very similar to an earlier comment that said we have no lighting in my neighborhood. And I think that that's an educational thing that we can start working on, is educating HOAs and other areas that it's not about not lighting at all. And of course, I will admit I am a stronger. I would love no lights anywhere, yay. But I also like to not trip and fall on these. And I understand that. And so I think we all on this committee understand that responsible lighting is the key. And so part of this update to the code is more about finding ways to allow for that lighting and for responsible and safe lighting without letting it become up lighting. And a lot of what's going on in this comment is about things that are happening on the ground. So the outdoor lighting code is about preventing too much light from going up into the sky. When if crime is happening on the ground, you get the light down. So it's not about preventing all of the lighting, it's doing what we can to prevent as much lighting as possible from going upward into the night sky. So I just wanted to read that out loud so everyone knows we see that, we take it very seriously. This is a moment for us to figure out how to better educate what the code is about. And then also to try to help figure out what we can do to help everybody be able to utilize responsible lighting.
210, Betty Bunker Richards, chapter 3, section 301. The comment was, I fully support this issue. We need less light, also to save migrating birds and animals. Also better for humans to have periods of dark skies to recharge their circadian rhythms.
Yes. 211 is an anonymous comment. This individual likes the updated version and then is asking questions about enforcement. So if they see a house in the distance with a bright light, are they expected to find the house and approach the homeowners? No, I'm going to go ahead and answer that. Please do not approach a stranger's house to tell them to turn off their lights. The last sentence here is, this seems rather dangerous. We have enforcement at the county and the city. So please, this is a moment where we can figure out how to better advertise how to report lighting violations so that everybody stays safe. And definitely for sure, and I would be the first to say that as a part of my day job, it is my job to actually go knock on some doors occasionally. And that is my job, but I don't recommend it for the general public. I am an official and I can do that, but not the general public.
212 from Katie Cox, just wants to thank us for the goals of dark skies being given. We acknowledge.
213 is from Leonard Wheeler. And this is about lack of street lighting and pedestrian accidents, and then people having to jaywalk. So I do want to acknowledge that we understand that there are issues of non-marked crosswalk areas. This committee cannot manage crosswalks. So that is outside of our jurisdiction, but city and county are in here, so they can make a note of that and send that to the correct committee or group at the city and county to address that kind of issue and see what can be done there. And so we do acknowledge the comment.
Okay,
You keep getting the big ones.
that's okay, because I think actually the three of us from the subcommittee could jump in as need be. We got comments number 214 through 230. They're from Eloise Gore, representing the Sunrise Mountain Ridge Homeowners Association. And apparently on their Dark Skies Committee, which I don't quite understand, but I think it means the Homeowners Association has a dark sky. And So the first comment is saying we need to say, how does the code apply to HOAs? So on that point, the code is really written toward what is built and not so much trying to distinguish between who owns it or who manages it, which is maybe there's a way that we can do that. I think it maybe would work differently on a brand new development. There's been some discussion of having ways that a developer that's doing a whole subdivision or large development might be able to treat the development as a whole. And that might be a way of veering from individual property codes. But for now, no, it's really each property.
So that's part of the, maybe a master dividing.
That would be a master, like,
To add that to the.
which we don't have an author yet, but I think the goal is to get that.
On our large developments, we've done signage, sign program. We've had the HOA monitor signage, attendance, later if they turn over in that process. Within the city, it just gets lost. We tell the tenants that you need to, send us your new signage. They bypass it. If the city gets approved, it's getting built. We see it getting built. We check why hasn't gone through the correct means and methods. It's not getting caught at the city level. It's not getting caught out on the site. Those stuff on construction. So it's very hard to manage it on the commercial level. The residential side, it's not my world. But on the commercial level, it's difficult to manage. Signage, it's difficult to manage.
But it would seem to me if we have a master lighting program for developments, then you'd be taking on that responsibility as well.
It was, but it's, there's needed to be two check it should always, be the cities and counties, and maybe that the HOAs can lead that first pass to police it and check it. But I'm saying, it's going to pass that, it goes right to the city, gets permitted, they go build it. And then we still.
That's an interesting thing that you just said, because her comment on line 217 asks that very question. Does Pima County, or I guess in this case, would they require an HOA to enforce county permit requirements on home or private property? And what is the expected role of HOA management and enforcement?
And as of right now, current code or as the draft is right now, no.
Yeah, no,
The
no,
HOA is not.
yeah, the HOA is not responsible.
Individual.
Yeah, it's individuals. Yeah. But if we went that other direction, that would change.
Madam Chair, this is Clayton with the City of Tucson. I just want to point out a point of clarification. The city does not enforce HOA or private entity regulations, and HOAs would not be responsible to enforce city regulations. But if the HOA has rules, that HOA would be responsible to enforce those rules. I just want to make a point of clarification.
Yeah.
Depends on what rules we're talking about.
Yeah, good point. So in an HOA, the CCNRs, something covenants and restrictions, code covenants and restrictions, I live under, I don't know what that means. And so, HOA is responsible for enforcing their CCNRs, but not responsible for enforcing city and county code.
That is the same.
Your comments, Rick Hollander.
We do,
Rick Hollander, when I worked code enforcement, when the HOAs didn't enforce, they would call in to code enforcement and turn in a complaint. Then it was a responsibility of the city code enforcement to go out and take care of that.
yeah, we understand. Okay, so let's, so
72.
we'll need to discuss that. We actually skipped over 215 and 216, which were just request
Yeah.
clarity, as is 218. So-
Legally installed means it was installed with under a permit previously.
Yeah, I think that it's a request that be clarified in the code, so I think we should star 215, 216, and 218 and have subcommittee revisit that. Just so we can make sure that it's clear. And then, 219 is a request for the visual depictions, so we started drawing those.
Yeah, so some committee's working on that.
220 is the same thing, is for depictions and, more clear definitions.
Yeah.
So we started doing that, and it's nice to hear that that's going over well enough that everybody would like to see more of that. So,
I think that's the old pictures of the house before this thing.
yes,
Really is.
they're not
something.
correct.
Yeah, they're correct. They have to be. Sorry.
That's why we have Charles. Is to call me and tell me I put the pole in the wrong spot in the image.
221 is a great question. Where bright light from inside a house shining through the neighbor's window be like trespass? Yes, it would be, and it's currently unregulated, and I don't see any way we can regulate the light from inside shining out through a window. Although
Right.
I'm wondering if in some circumstances we do need to do that, but gosh, that's what it's supposed to be.
Well, the interesting thing is because we have always defined outdoor lighting as lighting that's outside, not lighting that's inside that goes outside. And I think we need to talk about that. That has come up more than once in discussions over the last 5 years, that about the lighting that's like the big huge neon signs that are in the window inside, that they actually light outside. Things like that.
What about a building or structure that is easily defined as what's inside and what's outside? For example, the car wash where cars go through, is that outside or is it inside?
So you don't know the answers to that. I mean, that's a difficult reason I'm laughing is because it's a really.
This is the problem we have is where does it stop?
But
Can we
I think it's important
look at?
to also understand like what is light trespass, right? Because sometimes just because you can see the light doesn't make it light trespass. If I can see the lights on in my neighbor's house across the street, that's just because I can see them and I am inside my house doesn't mean that is light trespass into my home. If I am looking out the window, it would have to be that it is actually lighting up my space. Like that is what light trespass is. And so I think that's another education opportunity saying, and you know, that's a very significant difference is when we look at, say, like a fully shielded light. If I'm on top of Mount Hopkins, I can still see that there are lights, even if they're fully shielded, because they still make a pinpoint of light. It's just that, and it's because of my vantage point, but that doesn't mean that they're unshielded or putting light into the sky. And so we have to be thoughtful about how we address things like that and how to educate what is the difference, what is light trespass and what is I can see it with my eyeballs. Because they don't necessarily mean the same thing.
Yeah, some signs on the interior, on the signs code, if you're a few inches off the glass, it does not count as a sign.
That is correct.
Where do you limit it at? You got a sign on the back wall, is that a sign? I mean, we had lots of debates on it. And as long as you hold it off the glass, it's decided what it's time.
Yeah, I think trying to regulate something that's inside a building envelope, visible through glass, becomes difficult. Except that I'm aware of a certain class of retail establishment that is making a deliberate point to put lighting on the inside of their showroom. That all the light is shining to the outside. And that seems to me like that's a deliberate attempt to blast light out of their space.
Yeah.
To grab people's attention, which is why they want to do it. And maybe they should be able to somehow grab people's attention, but it's being done in a way that's a real problem for keeping the sky dark and for light trespass.
I'm not a proponent of lighting. It's under a law.
It's
Emanating the sidewalk. How is just.
sometimes it's not under a roof here. There are some stores that have a parapet type construction.
Okay, that's right.
Windows right there and bright lights shining out. Yeah, that creates light trespass. It's right. Again, we We currently are not regulating that. I don't know if we'll get to the point of doing that, but that's something. So, I mean, looking at Eloise's comments, 221, 222, 223, they're about definitions and such. I know, Amy, you've been working on more definitions. 224 question about what is permanent shielding. And
Yeah.
these are a lot of questions.
So
and I think
I
that-
have too many people who are interested, who I think are all good. I just talked to the Honors College and I
Well-
said, hey, we have 69 faculty in the combination of Steward.
Are you able to mute? There we go. Okay. Last time that happened, he was talking about me. I was like,
Given that most of the comments up to 230 are
Are
actually
about shielding.
shielding and specific questions, I think we'll commit that subcommittee is going to go through every one of these.
Yeah.
And we will address them as we see fit in the next draft.
That's fair.
I think then we can move on.
Yeah, we'll move straight on into about 226 is where it changes then to be about the residential lighting table. And so I think what I'm going to say here is that that table is still in flux. We're still working on it. So the Fisher Marantz and Stone has just barely seen that and been asking us questions about it. We've been having conversations with them. So I think we will acknowledge that and then commit that we're still working on it in subcommittee. And then the next one, 227, is the curfews apply only to unshielded lighting. How is partially shielded treated with respect to the curfew? So in the updated code, there is no such thing as partially shielded anymore. Partially shielded is unshielded. If that answers the question. So the curfew would apply to anything that is not fully shielded. Oh, we just actually answered this question about illuminated outdoor signs.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
again, that's really subcommittees sort of working on all that.
Yeah, but we're gonna need to do a follow-up question on this. Will you just put a question mark on that? Because I want to email her. Because I need more information about that. Is there a way, Dan, that we are able to get in touch with Eloise? Because I have a question for her about line 228. 229 is about right of way.
Well, the question, right of way are public right of ways, so private roads are not public right of way.
Oh, why is it necessary to refer to foot candles? Didn't we try to get rid of that?
Well, no, it went in back, when the lumen caps were introduced for non-public property, all the private property. There was some concern that, well, the public streets and all, they could light them up anyway. And so then we ended up adding chapter 8. And at that time, we put in lighting levels that were the accepted standard for roadway lighting as a limit. Now, I think it would be appropriate to maybe have Fisher Marantz Stone review those foot candle levels to see if they're still in accordance with the latest practices. And if we need adjustment there. But aside from that, that section really isn't doing a whole lot. But it was to essentially put a limit that public streets couldn't like overlight their street lights.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want it to be the surface of the sun. Responsible lighting.
Yeah, I think most people would probably feel that the public streets in Tucson are not overlit.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
They're
Yeah.
They're fine.
Andre.
I think we just need to look at chapter 8.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's just mark 229 and 230
yeah.
because I need to read that line from section 801.5 really well to see that. So 231 is then an anonymous comment just about determining how to determine whether a neighborhood is in compliance with the code. This is a question for you guys, Clayton and Dan. Would they, if they want to know whether their neighborhood is in compliance with the code, would they contact P&Z? Like a building code official to check, to come out and look at it? It says, in addition to residential building lights, their street has individual lamp posts along the curb in front of each house. They operate from dawn to dusk. And so, I mean, I would say if they're unshielded, perhaps not, unless they're in the historic area. I don't know the answer to that.
This is like with the city, yes, they can reach out to our staff to verify. I will say that two points of clarification. Asking the city to review a neighborhood might not be quite as effective as looking at a specific property. And that leads to the second point, which is legal non-conforming lighting that was approved at some point in time would most likely apply to these situations where lighting was installed many years ago and was approved at that time, in which case it is allowed to remain. So the first step in the city looking at such a request would be to go back and look at the public records for the approval of those lights.
Thank you.
Like, basically said the same thing.
All right.
Next comment, number 232 from Don Julian about chapter 4, section 401.2.1 about fully shielded fixtures under canopies, and is basically suggesting different wording to that. It's confused by the wording that we have in the codes. So we'll
Well, I think the Fisher Moranson Stone is working on that now as well.
So it's a work in progress, and we acknowledge the comment, and we'll try to make that clear.
What did we make that engine? We're working on creating the engineering working groups. You guys can also talk about that, about canopies and distances and overhangs. So when we get to that, we'll be able to really look at that. Good. I've looked at this. So we have 233 through 237 from Michael Guyman from the Chamber of Southern Arizona. These are all about master lighting plan. So I want to acknowledge that these comments are here and that this is in subcommittee now. We talk about it for a good portion of every single subcommittee meeting. We have not authored anything on this because it deserves whole meetings as opposed to small portions of subcommittee meetings. And I think it also is going to deserve attention from that additional working group that we're putting together and from Fisher Moranson Stone. So we're taking it really seriously, and we know where our gaps are in our knowledge, and so we'll also be reaching out to ask you questions about it. 238.
238. Another comment of Michael Guyman again from the Chamber of Southern Arizona.
He's here.
Comment of chapter 1. Special lighting needs for the developed area and provides flexibility, provides superior lighting type assistant implementation.
Is that a proposed addition? I don't recognize that.
Said about section 108.2, purpose to respond to special lighting needs of a developed area and to provide flexibility and promote superior lighting design consistent with the implementation and purpose of the outdoor lighting code. The context of that.
I don't.
I think that's a very good section.
Well, it is in the purpose section, but it doesn't
108.
read that now.
No, it's 108.3.
That's new. That would be new, right? Because section 108 would be new. It's a proposal
It
to
would
add a
be
section.
add a
Okay,
section.
so it'd be to add. Got it. Okay, so that's part of, I think, master plan, right? So it's still an addition. Okay.
Okay, that's.
Now I understand.
the plan.
We'll
Okay.
squeeze it into the master plan. Okay, so the next one is also about master plan. Sorry, I want to make sure we're not confusing the situation, so we know everything that's about master plan. So it looks like through 244, those are all master plan comments.
Got it. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So
Um,
we've got them
Michael,
all here, so
do
we,
you trust us to come over here and just point to me where, yeah, because I know you have other comments. And actually, it stops at to everything up to here is about master plans, right? So till everything where you said 108, and then you're moving on here. Is that right?
That's the way it is, because
Okay.
it starts with 236, add a new section 108,
Okay.
236, so every
Okay.
comment up
And-
through 246 would apply to that.
Are you suggesting here that like a master lighting program would connect back to the master? to the
Correct.
Total master plan?
Yes.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, okay. Okay. So what we owe you, Michael, is a whole long conversation. Outside of here. Because I misunderstood this part of the comments, so we'll continue to work on it, and if it's okay, I will also reach out to you.
Thank
you. Okay, thank you.
Priscilla has had lots of comments in regards to providing programs.
Yes.
I think that would be.
Yeah, we had those already, and those were 2 meetings ago, right? We started talking about that. No. So, that's how, yeah, I know, it's sort of like 25 years ago, right? It's like pandemic years all over again. But that's what actually got that, master lighting plan kicked to the subcommittee was Priscilla's comments. Okay. All right, we're done.
The private sector gets ready to master lighting program template. And it's been reviewed by many of the larger developments that have used the master sign program to try to go, is there a way to correlate that? And I think that Tim, as a land use attorney, has reviewed it and made changes to it. I honestly, in that emails and edits and all of that to a draft master lighting program text that eventually was made its way back to this committee. I don't know exactly where it is.
Okay.
I know I either concept, and I worked the first draft, and then to a bunch of other people, and I honestly.
It just-
very confident.
All right, fair enough. Thank you for letting me know. It's just we can maybe reach out to Tim and find out.
I can chase down then, I've sent to Clayton and Bill and to you. One of the first iterations.
Yeah, one of the very, very first ones, yeah, in the very beginning, yeah. Okay. We saw that, it was a long time ago,
Yeah, it was one.
like. Not months, no, there's like larger numbers. Yeah, they've been working on that for a long time. Okay, so we're done with the spreadsheet. So everything for Michael is about master lighting plan connecting back.
You have
to-
Gabriel.
What, where are my last pages?
254.
I don't have 254.
260. That was the last comment. So we have some
I'm
comments.
missing 5 lines of comment. I don't know how that happened. They're just hiding. Technology is amazing. I'm sorry, you have to read them because they're gone. They're gone
Okay.
forever. They're just, look at the hole. They're so
Yeah,
hard.
just so yours is stopped
Mine
at
just,
what number?
it just disappeared. It's gotta get cut. It has to be something with Acrobat.
Okay.
Well,
there's other comments from Michael Guyman also. We stopped at 246.
yeah, but are they all about master lighting?
No, then it goes on to chapter.
No, I asked them that they are linking back. So from a master lighting.
Okay.
and master.
Okay, so we will kick all of these into our continued
253.
to 250.
And then I'm only missing, see, I went all the way to 253 and I'm missing everything there.
Okay, since I've got it here, why don't
Okay.
we should push through these and then we're through our entire
Yeah.
spreadsheet,
Yeah, we are.
which we really need to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our comment number 254 from Gabriel David, which is Pima County Small Business Commission. And same person has comments all the way through number 260. So I'll just try to move through those as quickly as I can. It's starting with, it's currently drafted, the OLC revisions risk creating unintentional barriers for small and locally owned enterprises. Proposed restrictions, particularly in non-observatory zones such as E2, impose limits and retrofit triggers that are financially and operationally challenging for smaller operators. So I'm reading that the concern is that we're implementing requirements on small businesses that don't help the dark skies, and I think that's not the case. Next comment is we need balanced illumination against public safety. Pedestrian, customer, and employee safety must remain a top priority. The commission supports incorporating a pedestrian safety exemption to allow sidewalks, crosswalks, and transit stops to maintain lighting levels between 0.2 and 0.5 foot candles consistent with national roadway standards. This provision ensures visibility and security without undermining dark sky goals. I think with the possible exception, this is Dennis talking now, with the possible exception of some of the most restrictive E1 areas, the 0.2 and 0.5 foot candles is definitely achievable, and to go way beyond that with our current lumen caps that are proposed. And let's see, comment again is from Gabriel David. Amber lighting incentives rather than mandates. Well, spectrum control and shielding important imposed requirements of amber lighting less than or equal to 2200K should be incentivized and not mandated. They're suggesting a bonus credit for fully shielded amber fixtures could count as 50% of their lumens for the site goal. Next comment, fair treatment of multi-building and small parcels. The draft's net acreage approach to lumen calculations disproportionately impacts multi-building campuses, commercial plazas, and small sites with open circulation space. A shift to gross acreage calculations would ensure equitable treatment across property types while maintaining lumen output. Next comment is realistic retrofit compliance triggers. Mandating full site compliance for minor upgrades or permit modification places an undue burden on existing small businesses and discourages reinvestment. Commission recommends applying retrofit requirements only when a substantial redevelopment occurs and offering phased compliance or tax incentives for voluntary upgrades. Well, I've got two more and then we're done.
But we're not. We have two at the end of the appendix that are not in the spreadsheet that I want to make sure we address.
Okay, very quickly, another comment on economic and regional consistency. That the OLC needs to align better with broader goals for development. And finally, have forward, the county business recommends a balance amendment proposal that incorporates dark sky, pedestrian safety, economic viability. Well, these are all things we're trying to do anyway on the committee. And I disagree with the suggestion that it's an undue burden on businesses to have to rebuild their project. It talks about only when substantial redevelopment occurs to have to retrofit. Well, we've already got a percentage that below that you don't have to retrofit. So we may not completely agree, but I think our overall goals is to not unduly punish anybody for using outside light. We're trying to find a way that we can use it in a way that isn't a burden on other people.
Yeah.
That's through comment 260. Acknowledge all those comments.
Thank you. So what I'd like to do is just acknowledge for everyone. So there's a large appendix of longer letters at the back, and for the most part, most of the letters that are here are also addressed in the spreadsheet. And so we're not going to go through all of them. I'm going to skip closer to the end. Although first I'm going to stop at, you guys don't know page numbers here, but my page 54 is Tim Kinney. He is not here today, but we do acknowledge everything that he has said about the revised statutes. And this is something that we have been addressing in subcommittee. I had a couple of questions for him today, but I will ask them via email. Instead, I'll just copy City and County on it so that we can get those answered from him, and then we can address them properly in subcommittee. And then, so then we'll skip to, excuse me. So closer to the end of the packet, we have a letter from Carol Shippers about a comment on the lighting code. And the first large portion of that email is actually about a potential violation of the code. And so if Carol is here today online, I want to encourage her to continue to pursue that with the county. That has already been sent to county. So county has seen that and has recorded the complaint. And so closer to the end of that email, though, is that Carol has also read through chapter 6 and has asked that the verbiage on temporary lights needs to be much stricter to prevent the kinds of violations that she's talking about. So home football games, temporary lights coming in on football fields, things like that. Right. So that is something we've already been talking about in subcommittee. How do we address that as we've been addressing all the different types of event spaces and the kinds of like festivals and things that happen so that they can be properly lighted. But then the lights are not left on at 2 or 3 in the morning after it's already over and everybody has gone home and been long gone. And then asked about a buffer zone. The buffer zone the fields have from surrounding residents in the time frame that they can use temporary lights. And so I think we need to talk about that more because I'm not fully sure I understand temporary lights, like a softball field and a football field have permanent sports lighting. So I'm not sure that I quite understand that comment.
Hold on, remember schools exam. And they're not.
For example, in building codes.
I don't think their sports lighting on their football fields and stuff is exempt. They
USA is exempt, right?
Yeah.
Not K through 8 or K through 12.
My experience in working on development of new schools is that the initial development of the school goes through the normal building code process and they look at outdoor lighting compliance and everything else. But it seems like subsequent remodels and changes, the school districts rarely go back to get permits done.
Well, that's what we did a lot of QFC schools. We're not required to go through the building code. They want to just for a second set of eyes. They need to go through a fire department. It's up to the state fire department.
They're.
Yeah, this is quick with the city. So government owned and operated buildings on government property are not required to go through the permit process, but they are required to meet local regulations. So it's an interesting conversation, right? Because there is no required review, but technically they're supposed to comply.
this is a private school. Just I don't know if that changes the conversation. It's not a government owned entity.
This being 2017 and state law that was passed specifically to Fort Bend County, but it was jurisdictions over got that number of sites. The school did not have to go through the permitting process through the county, but they did have to provide us a letter stating they were electing to do that, and then the architect became responsible for ensuring all the code requirements.
If they don't want to do it.
Right. So that's when Swain, on a lot of his schools, started asking us to do a building consultation for them, or who would do a review and do the first inspection, but we're not issued a permit or the seal. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
It's a gray area. So like zoning laws would be what they need to go through, sort of like a zoning.
This is a zoning thing. In this case, it is, it's all about zoning on here. And they are apparently using, they don't have permanent lights installed yet, so they are using pole lights that are, temporary pole lights.
Yeah, because you can rent a trailer that comes
Yeah.
in that puts a boom up,
Yeah.
shines
Light
light.
plants and pole lights, yeah, they can do that. So it sounds like that's what's going on here. So
The problem
I
is
think.
we can write whatever rules we want for that, but that doesn't preclude somebody from bringing it in, putting the light up
Yeah.
for a few hours and then it's done and gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think this is difficult for us because this is sort of outside of our jurisdiction. It's a zoning issue right now. There's nothing to regulate because of the zoning issue at this time. And until we know what the zoning is, we can't really answer any questions about it. So, and then the other thing here in this letter is, the other thing that we listed was about, the times lights need to be shut off. And we give them a generous amount of time considering football games start at 7. And there's a disagreement that we shouldn't be giving them the additional time of an hour, for cleanup. 30 minutes seems enough time. But school fields and, football stadiums are quite large. And, I've cleaned those up. But personally, in my time when I was a teenager, I don't think 30, we have questions in subcommittee, even as whether an hour is actually enough time to be able to do that safely and then vacate the property. Huh? Popcorn was too buttery. So we acknowledge the comment, but I disagree. I think that the hour now, we have an hour now and there's a reason for that, and that it takes a lot of time to do proper cleanup and do it safely and get people off of the premises. And in subcommittee, we've actually discussed whether I think that was enough for certain types of venues, right? When we were talking about like concert venues and things like that, big outdoor concert venues, whether we could safely vacate people in that amount of time. So, but that's new. That's a new section.
The end of an event is flexible as well. I mean, in
Yeah.
theory, your curfew is at 10:30 PM, but
Yeah.
But if the program goes longer, the point isn't to try to just make it be punitive, but it's to try to, we don't want those lights burning 7 days a week when nobody's using the facility.
And I don't know, what's it called in extra innings is baseball?
Yeah.
Like, right? Like what if I'm sorry, I'm not a sports person.
Absolutely, you have overtime. Okay,
But
football has overtime.
Oh, sports stuff. So, yeah, I mean, so overtime, right?
It can
Overtime,
happen.
extra innings, things like that. Yeah. So I mean, so there is curfew, but it's giving them the time necessary to do what they need to do. All right. Okay. Are we good on that one? To the note there, and then I'm gonna and then the very last page, we've made it to the end. Here is from the Coalition for Sonoran Desert Protection, which I don't think is in.
I don't think I have all of it.
You don't have one? So the last one. Go away.
No, this is Pima County.
You do not. Okay.
I don't.
It's okay. We're technical difficulties abounds today. Look, between the two of us, we had the whole thing. That's all that counts. So for those who don't know, the Sonoran Coalition for Sonoran Desert Protection represents the 28 regional and national organizations that are protecting and reconnecting the Sonoran Desert here in southern Arizona. They are asking us to complete our update in a timely, efficient, and effective way. Which is nuanced. But I think this is the first time I've ever worked on a code myself that has had so many stakeholders come to the table and have comments. And I think that's wonderful. Civic duty is an amazing thing. And so timeliness is always affected by how fast we can get through all of the amazing comments that we are getting, and that so many people care about our community and all want to work together to make this a code that works for everyone. And so we understand that the process has seemed very slow, but it is very important that we hear everyone and that all of our stakeholders have that equal footing and get that equal consideration, because we all live here together in this shared space. So they have recommended that we employ similar stakeholder engagement processes that have worked well for other plan or code updates. That is what we are doing here. Is having public comment periods. Our code is getting quite a lot of comments. I think county and city, correct me if I'm wrong, we get a lot. We get a boatload of comments. So again, we do need to go through them. There is another comment here about simplifying the draft to make it easier to understand, which we hear. We acknowledge that comment that has been made several times. And then they did make the comment that none of the draft and the related materials are not highlighting environmental importance of outdoor lighting standards. And it would be helpful if there was better education on how light pollution affects wildlife and ecosystems to build more public understanding and support. And they did say that nod to the city of Tucson for Plan Tucson 2025, that light pollution is on page 126 of that plan. So so thank you so much. That came from Kate Houghton, the co-executive director of Sonoran Desert Protection. Now we have reached the end. Okay. Unless city or county knows of something I don't. Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, so we have now reached the end of those comments. So I would like to move right to the next item on the agenda, which is our call to the audience. So if we have any audience members who have additional comments today, the room is just like, get out. The people online can't see that the room, just everything is turning off. So I'd like to make that formal call to the audience. Anybody in the room, we'll try to go back and forth between the room and online. So if we have comments, we're able to get to everybody. Is there anybody? No, go ahead. Chair recognizes Priscilla Storm.
Both Pima County and the city of Tucson have lobbyists and government affairs persons on staff. My suggestion would be that the city and the county consider asking your government affairs folks to go to the state legislature and include what property is in which lighting zone in the real estate disclosure report that real estate agents are required to disclose to prospective buyers. Very similar to every real estate agent is required to disclose if you're in the vicinity of a military airport.
Mm-hmm.
So you would be following that same process so that everyone who bought a home in Pima County, the city of Tucson, would receive that disclosure that they are in E1 or whatever that is. That doesn't, they may still claim they didn't know, but at least you would have it in the record. The other thing is there is some enforcement with HOAs. You know, I'm responsible for government relations for Diamond Ventures. And in that capacity, I have the responsibility for every HOA for all of our residential communities, both the CCNRs and the design guidelines, oversee the third-party managers. So there is a significant amount of HOA enforcement. We are able to pass laws that are more restrictive than what is required in city or county code, but not more liberal.
Mm-hmm.
But and certainly festive lighting is one of the issues that comes up in HOA enforcement. So having that through a real estate disclosure would be helpful for HOAs as we try to enforce it on site. The other thing as it relates to landscape lighting and public roadway rights of way, I don't know how the city of Tucson handles it, but Pima County requires HOAs to sign a license agreement for maintenance of the landscaping in the area in the public roadway right of way, which does include the lighting. And we are currently in the process of an HOA enforcement issue in a Delaware community on a Pima County public roadway where we have a license agreement for maintenance of that and have HOA member complaints about the lighting. So That's my comment about, what you might be able to do to help in terms of individual homeowners, not only quote unquote. And then, I have two questions as it relates to the subcommittee, but there's other comments, so we'll get somebody.
Before we do that, is there anybody online? Like I said, we're gonna try to go back and forth if there's anyone.
Just like with the city, we had hoped to have a brief presentation from Bishop Rance Stone today. However, we've gotten a way to display,
Provide that.
to
Correct.
show it to you.
Correct.
So our recommendation would be to up that to the next.
Yeah, we will have to do that in January. That is fine. Sorry, Charles.
Is there a way to send that out ahead of time, just so we can look at it, and we'll have some questions, and I think it'll make the viewing of it probably go quicker and better.
No,
Absolutely.
yeah, if we can do that, that would be very helpful. Okay, is there nobody online? Okay, Chair recognizes Rick Hollander.
Rick on REI. I'd like to let the soul know, through the REI, we created a real basic PowerPoint. What outdoor lighting is. The city of Tucson, I know on their website has a link to that. It's, doesn't go into the codes. It just discusses why we would use outdoor lighting. And both Dan and Clayton review it before we did put it on. I don't know if it's on the county website. It's very basic, but it's a, I think, a good understanding of why we need outdoor lighting for controlled lighting, outdoor spaces and stuff. You might want to take a look at that if you've got questions. And maybe my part afterwards to discuss.
That's great, thank you.
Yep, go ahead, Michael.
Just a point of order, Madam Chair. We call the public is for the public to address the committee or board or member without a dialogue. I just think that's
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you.
We've been having this pajama party for like 4 years now.
Well, actually, like 15 years. All right.
Just so the reason I say that is because a dialogue is typically agendized. And so people know upfront what a dialogue in a meeting is going to be. That's why I call the public is just a one-way street.
Fair enough. Thank you.
You are correct. I have 3 questions. Given the amount of comments that you've received, is there an estimated time frame for when you believe the next draft ordinance would be out that would initiate the 60-day public comment that was referred earlier? I mean, is it Q1 2026, generally speaking, sometime between January and March of 2026 anticipated? I mean, just kind of a general.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Priscilla. I'm laughing because Michael just made a great point of order and then you asked me a direct question.
So I think that inquiring minds want to know, we recognize the volume of comments, but it's really difficult to come here every month and go, referring it to the subcommittee, we're 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 referring it to the subcommittee, and we never know when it's gonna come out of the subcommittee and see the light of day. And so if you could agendize it or put it on your website for all to know, it would be the process is it. I understand, I have an appreciation for the complexity and the number of volunteer hours, but it's challenging. And so in general, how much of the subcommittee's work, and I'm gonna, without, have a great appreciation for the amount of work that has to be done by everyone, by staff, by the consultant, and the subcommittee. But I also, as representing the regulated community that bears the brunt of the ordinance, am not always sure that the subcommittee has the perspective. I think there's exposure certainly to the private sector concerns, but the members of the subcommittee do not specifically represent the private sector. So there's some concern on my part. I'm not trying to draft Rob into the subcommittee, but for those of us that are going to bear all the final work product that is going to come out of the subcommittee into this committee, because it really seems like the ordinance is not being drafted by this committee, but it's being drafted by the subcommittee and the consultant. And so it's a little bit, use a Yiddish term, a pocket, in some ways. And so I don't have a comfort level about how much of the work of the subcommittee comes back to this full committee and is available to those of us that can participate. That being said, my final question, and I think I know the answer, but I'm going to say it anyway, are the subcommittees available and open to the public?
I don't think I'm allowed to, cannot. Are you okay if we break protocol, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay. It was just a funny moment. I was like, I really feel like I need to answer you, Dennis, feel free to jump in, at any point. So, it has been a long time since we brought a lot of work from the subcommittee back here. So right now what's happening, and I want to just address that first, everything's going back to subcommittee, because there are a significant number of comments here, and a number of them do have to be addressed in that way, because this could be a 16-hour meeting. If we were addressing line by line certain things that need to be done in the code, things that could be done by the subcommittee when subcommittee meets for 4 and 5 hours every single week, outside of here to go through things like that, and to deal with those problems, in addition to the consultant group working on things that they've been asked to do. I mentioned earlier in the meeting that we were working on developing an engineering working group, and we did ask Rob and Alec to have involvement in that and have a lot of comment in that, because subcommittee is limited to a smaller group of people because we cannot create quorum in that group. And so it is about time commitments, partially in that way, is who is available to make that kind of a heavy time commitment to do that kind of heavy lifting. And so we do take the comments very seriously. We are obligated to go through all of them right here. We can't skip over them and say, we're going to just take, let subcommittee go through them. And we need to acknowledge everyone equally. Everyone who sends in a comment is a stakeholder in this community, and as a member of this community, and everybody deserves that time. So as we said here today, we'll be reaching out to individual people. Michael, for example, about master lighting program separately as subcommittee, right? And as engineering working group, because we need to talk to you directly, because that's something we really can't workshop here. We need more time and more understanding of what is going on. And I think so. The last time we talked about the process and the timeline here, and we had said that we wanted to get through all of these comments and then have an opportunity to make a significant number of changes, and as well as hear what the consultant group had to say and make any changes that they've suggested. So it looks like technology is ruining our day today. So that is bumped back. There's nothing we can do about that. So they'll have to come in January. It looks like. So then after we make those changes, we had committed to your group, to the development group, that we would open another comment period for 60 days. And so we'll open another public comment period. And if we get as many over each 30-day period as we did this time, you're looking at double the number of public comments that we will need to address, because everyone in this community deserves to be equally and have their needs addressed. And so we take it very seriously.
At this point, we're trying to coalesce all of these ideas. And is it going to happen in the first quarter of 26? I don't see how it's going to. It's going to take a considerable amount of time. Our subcommittee can meet twice a month And then the other full commit, I mean, we might be able to do more, with holidays, it's not happening right now. But, there's only so much we can meet. There are generalized comments that need to be addressed. There's specific text changes. Those things go quicker. But ultimately, it will result in a new draft. But when that comes out, I think it's months away. That's my personal.
Pretty long time, it was very time consuming.
Oh, is he unmuted?
Oh, it's muted here.
He's been muted.
From,
Sorry, I can see the
he was
the
on the
comment
call.
side. I think he's muted. I'm sorry, Bill.
Just a question, is it possible to sort all the comments, or has anyone sorted the comments by topic as opposed to by author?
Yes,
Okay,
it's already been done.
okay,
I can send you a copy.
okay, thank you.
Or can be posted. So everybody can download.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you all able to speak?
He's muted now.
He muted from his end.
That'd be great.
So we're doing.
Yeah, no.
Okay, it's muted. Okay. I'm sorry, he could have talked while I was gone.
He didn't.
I don't think he
Nothing
wanted,
happened.
yeah, he didn't have any. Oh, okay. Right, okay.
So do we have any other public comments?
No. Okay.
Comments online.
All right, so then we'll move, I'm gonna ask one more time very loudly. Do we have any additional public comments in the room or online? Okay, we'll move right into our next agenda item, which is to discuss our future agenda items. So it sounds like Fisher Morantz and Stone will ostensibly present next time if we can get the screen to work. And so then I think our next time we'll be sharing some of the changes. So
Maybe we need our call to order, roll call, we need approval of minutes, legal action report,
I don't
subcommittee.
think those are always.
Yeah, subcommittee report. We would have, perhaps a report from the consultant,
Yes, yeah, that's what they'll do next time, their initial report.
and maybe we need an item for general discussion of outdoor lighting code by committee members.
I think that would be really helpful to give everyone that opportunity.
And call the audience, future agenda items.
Yes. Does that sound like that'll work for you, Dan and Clayton? To change out those two things, so it won't be discussion of public comments next time, but Fisher Morantz and Stone can present their initial findings. And then we'll have a generalized discussion for the committee. So any outstanding questions that they have.
Just to be clear,
Mhm.
the committee discussion after Bishop Rand Stone's presentation.
Yes,
That's what I'm thinking.
yes.
We're gonna need it.
Yeah, we're gonna need it. Well, it's not the whole thing, it's only this is the part that's done.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Right. I think that's it. So I don't think I have to vote on this, right? We just, what?
One clarification.
Mhm.
The future meeting date and time
We just want to verify.
Correct. We do have a potential issue. Do you mind, are we allowed to roll call who's gonna be there? Who thinks they're gonna be there? Is everybody still here?
What's the anticipation for the next meeting?
Well, it's already scheduled, and I think that Alec, you said you would be gone.
I'm here. So the next meeting is set for what,
January
January 7th? I will be here.
Oh, you'll be here?
I'll be in Phoenix. I'll try to participate by Zoom or by Teams.
I'll be where you are, but I will participate by Zoom, so at least one of us would be here. We will, it sounds like we'll make a quorum.
I'll be here.
Here, will you be?
Yeah, sure.
Will you be? Okay. You'll be here. And you, will,
Okay.
Okay.
This is Clayton, and I just wanted to clarify because the new meeting location is the basement of the Public Works building. And that is not a location that we can reserve on short order. We need a long
Okay.
lead time to get the basement.
I think we're agreed that you can do that for January.
Well,
It's already reserved.
January, February, March have been reserved.
Okay.
For the first Wednesday, right now.
Is that the old where the P and Z meetings?
Yes, we will have the same setup at the P and Z meeting when they get there. So, hopefully.
Can we then add to the agenda for next time? Can we add a discussion of future dates? Because I also know I'll need to, we'll need to talk to Buell's secretary since we need to move it. Because she said no to the, she just say no to the first week of January or no to the first week of every month? Okay, all right, okay. Okay, all right. Look at that. This meeting stands adjourned. The time is 2:44 PM on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. And the Tucson Pima County Outdoor Lighting Code Committee is adjourned. I guess I could have said the next meeting is Wednesday, January 7th at 1 PM. I'm sorry.
You're fine.